Bonjour peeps, hi. This is Neshi Locatz. Welcome to Star Nations Organization's main fan page where I do the daily live stream from around the information of the divination cards that I drew, usually in the morning. And so this is Tuesday. Oh no, it's Thursday. Thursday, November 15th. November 15th. Why am I still thinking about Tuesday? It's still, I've got videos I still have to get prepared and put out there to the world. So that were done on Tuesday. So welcome. It is actually pretty nice here in Toma, Wisconsin. Northwestern Wisconsin. We're about an hour east of the Mississippi. It's not like swimming weather, but it is above 30 degrees, which, for the Northwest here, that's a good day, and it's sunny out. Yeah, it's good stuff. Hey, Stephanie Williams is with us. Hello, Stephanie. So glad to see you in the chat. So yeah, Thursday. Thursday is hey, Rochelle. Rochelle just joined us. Yeah, Thursday. Today is was one of those days where I was supposed to sit down and get caught up on some work, especially those videos. Oh my goodness, we got videos that need attention, and not just from the shows that were done on Tuesday, but also in the magazine. We have to do some work on two of the videos there. So hey, Stephanie, yeah. So that was on my mind Tuesday shows and videos. So this morning was very interesting morning. I don't know about you, but did you guys feel any of the effects of the 11-11-11 gateway at all? My effects that came were on Tuesday, actually. I think it was Tuesday. Hey, Julie. Good to see you in the chat, Julie Shumway. Hill. And yeah, mine came on Tuesday. Yeah, I think it was Tuesday. Because yesterday was Wednesday, right? Yeah, I think it was Tuesday. I had a headache, and I hardly ever get headaches, ever. And so when I do get them, I pay attention to them, right? And so, yeah, we had an expansion headache because Tylenol. I actually broke down and took a Tylenol, and it didn't phase it at all. What did help, the two things that helped, was there were some good friends of mine who sent me Reiki, and I spent some time outside. Yeah, and that helped. It didn't take it completely away, but it helped. And I talked to my spiritual team to help me to relax about it and just kind of ease into it, right? Hey, Anne, good to see you in the chat. So glad you're here with us. And so I was just curious if anybody else had any symptoms or effects from the activation gateway that happened on 11/11. Just curious. Because, at first I thought, oh man, am I coming down with the flu? I don't have time to be sick. And it wasn't that. I used thieves because I thought earlier in the morning I thought I was coming down with something, but it wasn't. And so Wednesday I was so much better, and today I'm even better. Yeah. And so, but there's also things that always come to the surface when we're in those expansion states, right? And so, yeah, dealing with some old stuff. Dealing with, life, and realizing that I still have to pay attention to the mundane world too, right? And the mundane world is dishes, laundry, grocery shopping, those kinds of things, because when I get behind on those, it affects a lot of other people in my household. Yeah. So I just, if you wouldn't mind just typing in the comments, if you had, you can just say yes or no, any effects from the 11/11 gateway. Yeah, it was a pretty potent one. It really was. And talking about it, and I think I even had a Sistars call that night too, if I remember right. I think, no, that was the night before. and we always have interesting conversations, and we did talk about the 1111 gateway that night too. So anyway, hello, Cindy Ferris. So good to see you in the chat. Before I get started with the cards, I am going to like and share the broadcast, and if you could please do that for me, I would appreciate it, because it helps other souls who are looking for this kind of information, this kind of conversation, this kind of community, right? And when we like and share, it ends up in the news feed more often. And so I am doing that right now. And I usually do it to my own news feed, just to remind my friends that I'm live streaming. And asking them to please join. And I always send it over to the closed groups and Radio Network closed group and the Academy group for Star Nations, because those two groups are the ones that our most active community members hang out in. So I'm just going to let them know. And ask them to join. And there we go. Done. Done, 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 done. There. Excellent. Stephanie says, yesterday was mundane. 11:11 was, I was simply exhausted. Me too. Me too. I tell you what, that headache really, and it made my stomach upset too. And so I was drinking like mint tea and that sort of thing. I use lavender oil as well on my temples and on the back of my neck. And for headaches, a lot of times peppermint oil works too. But yeah, I just stuck with the lavender oil and didn't put peppermint on. Julie saying, no headaches or other physical symptoms I recognize, but I'm feeling amazing the last couple of days. Yeah. My energy level my physical is about the same though, because I run on about 5 hours sleep, and George has been up. Last night he was up, and the night before, and so that 5 hours gets kind of broken up too. So so the physical tired is the usual. It's nothing new, nothing different. But the others, my emotional and mental is actually quite good. Except I had to deal with a situation this morning that took over a business call that I was supposed to have, but I felt like this other situation was more important. So I took care of that one, apologized for the missed business call, rescheduling that. And so, but that's the mental kind of juggling, right? It's like, oh, we could do it this way, we could do it that way. And not get flustered by it, and making, grounding. And even today when I came up here, just before I sat down to hook everything up, I did some white sage and smudged myself and my computer and the room, and it just feels good. It just feels good. So I kind of hear what you're saying, Julie, is that the last couple of days feeling amazing on the emotional and mental levels. Definitely. The physical, not so much. Hey, Amy Daniels is here. Yay. Amy sent me a private message saying that she was going to try to make it to the live show today. So I'm glad you're here, Amy. So good to see you there. And to be with us, because I know you watch the recorded video shows. And so glad to have you in person in the chat. So today's cards, very interesting. Very, very interesting. We have this card, and I don't think we've had this card before. This is the Shaolin priests or masters, Shaolin Masters. And I think I put it I labeled it wrong in one of the things in Facebook. I think I said priest, and it should have been master. Shaolin Masters. It says, be graceful in movement and action. Be graceful in movement and action. I'm going to try to get the card up close enough to the camera so you can see what's in this artwork. He has a praying mantis in his left hand, actually his left fist. And above his right fist is an orb, right? Prayer beads on his wrist. And the dragon in the background. Yeah, the Shaolin Master. So when I first saw the card and read Shaolin Master, I have to tell you, where my mind went was Kung Fu. Do you remember that old show with what's his name? Keith Carradine? Was it Keith? David Carradine. He carried the staff that was a flute, and he would talk about the Shaolin masters, the Shaolin priests. Yeah, that's where my mind went. And I thought, oh, I wonder what this is about, because, there was a time when the Shaolin was kind of part of the mass consciousness, because a lot of people watched that show years ago, right? And it was very different and almost, I want to use the word exotic. It was different. A lot of people didn't know what a Shaolin priest was or master was, and that the martial arts piece, right? Yeah. Stephanie says, a friend of mine will be coming to a metaphysical fair or rock fair near Minneapolis. At some point in the next year, I will send some Osha root and wild mountain sage in the package I sent with her for Star Nations West. Oh my goodness. Yay. Thank you so much, Stephanie. So a rock fair near Minneapolis. Minneapolis is about 3.5 hours from me. It's mostly interstate driving, so it's not a hard drive, but yeah, about 3.5 hours. Amy says, thanks. Physically hard week at work. So hard to stand 8 hours plus on cement, no matter how good the shoes are. Oh, I know. Cement is the hardest on our muscles. Dancing, Native American dancing, when you have moccasins on, and dancing on concrete or blacktop is hard on the legs, hard on the feet. And much rather dance on grass, on just the ground, because the grandmother has that flexibility in the give, right? And I know no matter how good, what the shoes you have, or how expensive or not, they'll only help you so long on concrete. Yeah, Paul has the same situation at his work, but he also does a lot of walking too, and they have to wear the safety shoes with the steel toe. So yeah, so and I'm sure you already know this, Amy, but we'll say it out loud just in case. Okay, is that and for others is Epsom salt baths really help. And if you don't have a bathtub, even if you do a salt scrub in the shower, that helps a lot, because what's going to do is going to draw out the toxins, for one thing, because your muscles are working overtime, and so they're creating their own toxins, right? That's why the muscles ache. And also a foot massage or a leg massage is really good too. Mm-hmm. Well, full body would be great, massage. But if you're just home on your own, you can certainly do that for yourself. And I remember one time I had just come back from Ireland, and I had agreed. I was doing an expo, and it was in Milwaukee, suburb of Milwaukee, and they had contacted me if I would do the feng shui of the the entrance to the expo. And so I agreed to that. And then they contacted me because I had a table, I had a booth. And then they asked me if I could teach a class because somebody had canceled. And so I said, sure, I can do that. And I ended up teaching 2 classes instead. And then they realized I had my medicine dress with me and asked me if I would help close the last day. And so, and I was on concrete and jet lagged. Needless to say, I would never choose to do that again. It was good. It was good because I met a lot of really nice people and, got to be known in that part of the state a little bit more. But oh, my poor legs. I came home and I didn't even offload the car. Paul did that. And the next day I called my massage therapist and said, do you have any openings at all in the next couple of days? I will take anything, even if it's only 20 minutes. And so she did fit me in, but oh my gosh, I'd never do that again. Mm-mm. No, 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 no. Oh, Stephanie said she said something about Milwaukee too. Well, Milwaukee is closer. Milwaukee is about a 2.5 hour drive. It's on the other side of the state. So I'm kind of in between Minneapolis and Milwaukee. I'm kind of in between. And so if she's driving to Milwaukee from Minneapolis, I'm right on her way. I'm probably 2 miles or 3 miles from the interstate. So, yeah. Hey, Jackie's here too. Hello, Jackie. Jackie. And Amy said, love that show. Yeah, about the Kung Fu. Yeah. Do you remember that? I can hear the music in my head right now. Hey, Cindy Lynn. Oh, so good to see you in the chat. Yeah. Cindy Lynn said, sprained hand, it helps. And it helps a little bit. Yeah. Are you talking about the massage or the sea salt, the Epsom salt soak? She says, I buy the big spa bag of it and use the whole bag, almost floating. Well, yeah. Yep. I used to know the combination. Amy, when we were doing the space clearing classes, I think it's in those notes. It's a cup. I think it says it a cup. A cup of baking soda. I want to say 2 or 3 cups of Epsom salt. Oh, no. That was using sea salt. And with a cup of baking soda. That was it. And so you can do that too. Of course, you can also, when you do your massage, you can also use peppermint oil, or if you're using any kind of Young Living or doTERRA, they have those blends too. You might have one of those. But if all else fails, use lavender. That's kind of like the duct tape or the V8 juice of the essential oils world. Yeah. I was going to say something else about, Cindy Lynn. Cindy Lynn. Did I see a post or a repost? Maybe that was it. Somebody shared it. Something about you got ordained, that you're an ordained minister. I think that is so cool. Congratulations if that happened. Okay. Or maybe I misread it. Maybe it was some other Cindy. I don't know. But I thought, oh, that is so cool. So congratulations on that. If you went through ordination. So anyway, let's get back to the Shaolin Master. Shaolin. And let's see what Kyle has to say about Shaolin. 66. Here it is. Okay. So it says, be graceful in movement and action. Slow and steady. Breathe and flow. Take a gentler approach. And sometimes when we do that, we have to literally pause take a pause, take a break, sleep on it, or take a walk, go outside and do a little something before you reply or make a movement, kind of thing. Because usually what happens is that our ego mind, right, wants to jump in and do that interaction, whatever that is, whether it's writing something, sending something, calling somebody, and giving them a piece of your mind, or maybe making a decision about something before you actually have really considered it from a few different perspectives. And so the gentler approach, a lot of times that comes when you can step away from the situation, step away from the event, even a half a step, and take some deep breaths, get relaxed. Go outside. Mine is always go outside, even if it's just the putts in the backyard, um, and then talk to your spiritual team. It's like, okay, so what is this situation about, really? Help me to understand it with some clarity, and how can I best um, respond, or something like that. Um, you can be assertive. You can be assertive and be kind. You can be assertive and be gentle. Um, Although there's some situations or some people within the situation may not get the subtle. Do you ever get that? There's some people in my life that and I'm thinking about family, that they don't do subtle. If you do subtle, they miss it. And so you have to be kind of direct. And as a triple Sag, yeah, I've had to learn how to do the gentle um, and to be subtle. And some people say, if my subtle is still too blunt. It's like, I'm trying. Um, but I've learned how to do that. And two of my brothers would probably tell you that it took a while for that to happen, because, being really direct about things. And the subtle approach is really so much better. It really is. Even though sometimes you can't be really subtle with certain people, you can still be direct and still be kind and still be, yeah, so that when that situation or whatever is going on reaches a conclusion of some sort, then when it's time to let it go and to go do something else, um, you feel good about it. You don't feel guilt. You don't feel still worked up. It's because you took some time. You took some time to calm, to be calm, and to take those deep breaths and say, okay, what's really going on here? And what's my part in it? What am I supposed to learn from this piece? Yeah, because it's one of those teachable moments, I think. All right, so Kyle goes on to say that the Shaolin Master calls forth the ninja within. The ninja within. Shaolin medicine is about learning to adapt to a situation and to tap into the energy running through your body and preserve it in order to release it at the right moment. It also teaches subtlety, because when you're too forceful, you use too much energy, and that may not be supportive of what you are working on. The Shaolin Master, like a monk, has respect for all things. He's disciplined and guided by his art, and will never use it to impress the foolish or to appear stronger than someone who is threatening him. You too are being invited to remain graceful in your movement and choices and actions. Yeah. There's always room for kindness, wouldn't you say? There's always room for kindness. Yeah. Let's see. Amy says, she's telling Cindy Ferris that that's awesome about the using the whole bag. And Amy says, not with the college age kids, they don't do subtle. They offend so easily. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Why? Is because they're inexperienced. It's when um, it's when we hit our 30s, that if we're still needing to be, if we're still blunt, or not getting subtle, either one of those two, I think that we have some healing to do, right? Yeah. Amy says, I talk direct and I think kindly with a more stern voice. What I'm walking on kind of thin ice at work. Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah. That kind of reminds me of something, Amy, about sometimes it's also about boundaries, especially with college age students. They're still, if they haven't learned about boundaries in any kind of way, they're also testing boundaries, right? They're testing. How far can I go? How far can I push it? How far will they let me in? How far will I be able to go with it? And technically, we can receive that with people of any age, testing the boundaries. How far can I go? How far will they let me walk on them or push them? You know, but there's a life lesson in all of that too, for both parties, not just one. And so, is it a situation where you're learning how to set up those boundaries? We talked about that the other day. Remember about our boundaries may need to be updated because of the energy that we're in, the frequency that we're in, that we may have to do that. Yeah. Yeah. And let me tell you, when you do the upgrade, and it's just like when you set a boundary, when you do the upgrade, there'll be some people in your life who kind of freak out over it. They get upset by it because you're not the same. You won't let them do certain things that they used to do, right? And so that's something that they have to get used to. And so, yeah, it can be a little stressful at the beginning, but remember those cards that we had is like, stand your ground, and allow your spirituality speak for itself, right? Yeah. So I don't know, Amy. There's always soul growth in everything that we do, in every situation that's presented to us. So if we can put a positive spin on it, and it's like, okay, what am I learning here? How is this going to help me with my soul growth? And you're talking to your team, right? So tell me, what is it? Because I'm willing to do it. I just need to know what it is. Yeah. I know, easier said than done, right? All right, so Kyle goes on to say about this is that you are being guided to flow like water, blow like air, and connect with your purest intentions. Don't feel you need to rush ahead. A gentle approach will be more fruitful and rewarding. Yeah. Move with subtlety and grace. Reach high, but also ask yourself how you can move with the flow of life rather than pushing against it. Moving with the flow of life rather than pushing against it. Do you have the capacity to refocus your gaze at this time? Can you slow down or take more time to soften and breathe as you move forward? All of this will be incredibly beneficial for what happens next. For what happens next. So in those experiences that we're having where we have to learn how to be more subtle, to be more graceful, maybe to take things a little bit slower, slow down just a little bit so you can get the lay of the land, right? Sleep on a decision. When I worked for the state of Wisconsin, sometimes people were so quick to respond to emails that communication wasn't good. It wasn't good, and they would say things in their messages that had they just taken a beat, just a breath even, and say, should I really send that? Should I really hit send? Better to write it and set it aside and then go back later, like more than an hour later, and to reread it, because chances are there's some things that you wouldn't say or that you'd say them differently. Yeah. So I think that's what this card is just to slow down just a little bit before you respond. Slow down just a little bit so that you're more graceful in your response. Yeah. Yeah, and the Shaolin Masters, they were so gentle and so kind and so humble, right? That that those who were not familiar with their life, their belief system, they thought that they were easy marks, easy prey, that they were easy to push around, right? Because sometimes they wouldn't even fight back. Why? Is because once they start using their martial arts, there's no fooling around. There's, that they're going to defend themselves. And so, I think that with this card, basically, is like, looking at the dragon in the background, that's a fierce totem. That's a fierce power animal. And even though he has a praying mantis on his hand, his hands are in fists. He can be kind, he can be subtle, he can be gentle, but he can also defend himself in a good way. Yeah. So I'm saying hi, everybody. All right. So that's the Shaolin Master. The second card that came is called Lord, and we've had this card before. It says, take charge with authority. Take charge with authority. And whenever I see this card, I don't know why, but it reminds me of A Christmas Carol, one of the versions where Christmas Present is all kind of decked out and he's got green on, and it's very abundant and he's very authoritative, really. But he's also very jovial and kind and, yeah, provides. I don't know why, but that was the memory that floated through when I saw this card. Notice his staff that he's holding, right? That's the Ankh. That's about life. Very Egyptian symbolism there. And of course, he has the Celtic knot as his pin, and he's got the stag horns again, and the rams in the background. It's a very masculine card. Although the vines that are behind him, those are rose vines, rose leaves. And so you also have the goddess in the background. Yeah, the Great Mother. Gotta take a drink of tea. The Lord. Page 50. Of course, it says take charge with authority. Don't be afraid to take charge or use your voice. Be strong. Okay, so Spirit is telling us that we can be subtle and we can be kind, but we can also be strong. And we can, when needed, we can actually be assertive and to show if you have authority in a certain area, then own it, step into it, right? You have it for a reason. Pell says that the Lord is the consort of the lady, the emperor in the traditional tarot. He represents an authoritative male who isn't afraid to lay down the law. But this doesn't mean he is angry or chauvinistic. He is self-possessed, reliable, and ambitious, a man of honor who has earned his place in society. The Lord in this oracle holds a ram's staff and wears a horn of antlers, showing he keeps himself firmly rooted in the ground and is protective of his people. His regal air indicates he has a taste for the finer things in life, yet he is sensitive to those who are less fortunate than he. So he goes on to say, sometimes you have to take control in order to be honored. If you feel that your kindness or gifts are being taken for granted, it's time to change that. It's a boundary. It's a boundary. It's time to change that. If you feel that you're being taken advantage of. There's no excuse for bad behavior. None. No excuse. And I don't know about you, but when somebody is rude, when somebody is overbearing, there's no excuse for it. I don't think. It says, hold your ground and speak your mind in a fiercely loving way. You have the energy and might to overcome dramas or energies that aren't working for your growth, and it's time to take charge before you find yourself in a situation you don't want to be in. You're being encouraged to be the boss instead of being bossed, being told what to do. Right. This card also brings the energy of ambition and can show you have the potential to move upwards on a professional level, but only if you act with authority and show who you really are. So, it might seem on the surface that these two cards are in opposition to each other, but they're not. They're not. You can express your authority. You can express your assertiveness in a kind and gentle way. You can be graceful with it and still get your point across and still set those healthy boundaries. Yeah. So, yeah. And I think it's interesting, that we've had very feminine energy cards the last few draws, and this one is certainly very about the masculine, isn't it? And you have one that's very kind and very gentle and very subtle, and the other one is very assertive and strong and very male gender. But the balance between the two is what we're looking for. The balance between the two. Yeah. And even though you're female, we still have these energies within us. Right? So learning, remembering is probably a better way to put that. And how to be gentle and kind and yet stand your ground. Set the boundaries. Be assertive. Use your voice. Amongst everything that was happening this morning, I had a Jehovah's Witness come to the door, and I always stand and listen to them. That's they have a message too, right? And so I'm at the door with them, and it was two guys, and I'm listening to them, and they had some good things to say. And the older guy, who was kind of like the lead, looked right at me and he said, "And so do you read the Bible?" And I looked at him and I said, "That is a very interesting question." And I said, "No, I don't." I said, I think the Bible is a very good book, and it's filled with a lot of really good stories that have kernels of truth in them. But no, I said, but my faith in the Creator, faith in God, is 100% unshakable. I live my life by prayer, and he says, "So how do you relate to God then?" And I said, "Directly." And so I had to stop him. And I said, I have to ask you a question. Do you know anything about Native Americans? And he goes, "Well, no, we do stop in at Blue Wing, which is a Native Ho-Chunk housing site near here." And he says, "We do stop at Blue Wing." And I said, "So you don't know about Native American culture or beliefs or that sort of thing?" He says, "No, not really." I said, "Okay, let me tell you something. And this is not saying that you did this, but there is, hundreds of years ago, the first missionaries that came to Turtle Island, to this indigenous land, converted Native Americans to Christianity, that only their God was going to save them." And I said, "Do you know that there was hundreds of thousands of Native Americans who died from that very first time when it spread across?" Because they said those missionaries also brought illnesses to us. And I said, "Did you know that?" He said, "No." And I said, "It was all because they were converting people." I said, "I was kind enough to open my door and stand and listen to what you had to say, and there were some good things that you said, and I appreciate that. But you went too far." You went too far. And so now I even took your literature and thanked you for it. I said, "But now we're done. We're done. And so have a good day. Goodbye and have a good day." He goes, "Oh, we never, no, never goodbye." And I said, "Well, that's true." I said, "Do you know anything about indigenous languages?" I said, "Did you know that in indigenous languages, Native American languages, there is no word for goodbye?" I said, "So what I'll tell you is in Potawatomi, it's Bamamina, which is until we see each other again." And, that was a good way to end it, right? And the younger guy says, "Oh, I didn't know anything about Native languages." And I said, "Did you know that there's not even a curse word in Native languages? There's no word to curse another person. Think about that." And I closed the door. But see, what I'm trying to share with you is that I used my voice. And I was kind to them. I was polite to them, but when they stepped past a certain boundary, it was like, "No, you can't do, no, that's enough. That's enough." So using your voice. Yeah. I mean, we haven't had somebody stop by our house like that in a long time. And so, yeah. I don't know, boundaries and using your voice. Making sure I read everything about the Lord. So I think that this particular card is saying, okay, we can be kind, we can be subtle, we can be graceful, but we also have to stand our ground. We also have to use our voice when needed. We have to be able to set those boundaries, and healthy boundaries, not set out of fear, but out of your personal belief from your heart, Yeah. And here's the third card, Autumn. It's got the raven on here. Now, we've had this card before. It says, release the old and rest. Release the old and rest. With the raven. And so I thought this is really interesting. So here is what the message is. Release all of the pressure and expectations weighing you down. Shed it all so that you can recover before moving into a time of renewal. A time of renewal. So when we take that into consideration with the first two cards, maybe we're being asked to take a look at how we respond to others. And do we have those healthy boundaries in place? Sometimes we don't realize we need one until something happens. And you think, oh, no, I need to set that one up to keep that at a distance, right? Or you have people testing your boundaries, which is sometimes a good thing, because that way you can say, okay, I have to rethink this one. Is this boundary really serving me? Maybe I have to tweak it and upgrade it, or delete it and set a new one, because it's no longer working for me. Okay. Yeah. So, those that kind of either push on that boundary a little bit, or for those people who try to blow right through it, they're not being subtle. They're not being subtle at all. So I think that's something that this last card is helping us to understand, is what is Spirit really showing us and telling us with these first two cards, right? Is that we can shed all so that you can recover before moving into a time of renewal. A time of renewal. So, moving into winter, right? It's just assessing it, self-assessment. He goes on to say that autumn is when the trees are preparing for the long, cold winter and must let go of all the weight they are carrying in order to continue to grow and prosper. Sometimes you too just have to surrender an aspect of yourself in order to continue to grow and prosper. So, I can only think about my own life, right, and how that working out, present tense. For me, it was and still is understanding my triple Sagittarian, all that fire, and to be able to communicate something when somebody is pressing on a boundary, or I have to set a boundary up or something like that, is for me to take a pause, to take a break, to step away from it for a minute or two. I had to learn how to do that. Because in my 20s, oh my God, it's like incineration. Open mouth and fire comes out. That dragon in the background, right? That dragon. Yeah. So I had to learn how to master that fire. It's good. It's a gift. But I had to learn how to wield it. I had to learn how to accept the responsibility of it too. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if what it's like in your life, but you may have something there that that you can release that no longer works for you, or to learn how to, like I had to do, was to learn how to use that fire in a much more positive way, and still be able to get my point across, right? Yeah. The raven on the autumn card shows us that there is an opportunity to heal at this time. In Celtic animal medicine, the raven is the bird of healing and initiation. The healing it brings is a shift that allows you to move into a more powerful psychic space where you can be more aware of your needs and desires and be better supported. Okay, so when we release some of that old stuff that doesn't work for us anymore, it frees up room for something that will support us to come in. And so if we're learning how to, and we're remembering how to be more subtle and more graceful, and in many ways, we're talking about walking the middle path, aren't we? Because we can be strong and we can be assertive, but we can also do that in a gentle way. So really, we're remembering how to walk the middle path between these two, taking the best. Makes sense to me. Actually, makes me kind of happy. Makes me happy. And Kyle goes on to say, when the autumn card arrives in the future position of the spread, or at least the last card in the reading, it can also indicate that the coming autumn will usher in important energies with regards to your questions or intentions. And so here we are at near the middle of autumn, right? We're not quite beginning winter, because that's in December 21st, right? So something big, right? And so here we sit with all that manifestation that we were talking about a few weeks ago, and we've been talking about setting boundaries, healthy boundaries, using our gifts. So, just being consciously aware of what is being brought to your life this fall. How big is it? How much is it going to change your life? In a good way. I'm going to put that out there. In a good way. In a positive way. So, all right. So we're releasing the things that no longer serve us when it comes to these two items. Oops, that's not what I wanted to do. I want to do this. The Shaolin Master, being graceful and movement and action, right? And this one is take charge with authority. We can do both. We can be assertive. We can be strong. And we can be graceful and subtle all at the same time. And to remember how to do that, sometimes we have to release something to make room. It's about soul growth. Yeah. Does that make sense? Does that make sense to you guys? How do you feel about it? These three together. Talk about subtlety to a triple Sagittarian. Yep. I had to learn that one. I'm still learning, because we have opportunities coming to us all the time to learn about something, to remember something. It's called life lessons, and so we're constantly given the opportunity to do that, always. And rather than looking at it from a fearful point of view, is to look at it from a more positive point of view. It's like, oh, yay, there's another life lesson to learn. What are we doing this time? Because this is going to be all about my soul growth and how I can even use my gifts even more, rather than looking at it from a fearful point of view. Yeah. Oh, good. Thank you. Thank you, Amy. She says, makes sense. Yep. I think so. I do. Oh my goodness. So, I say this every day, is that if it resonated with you, yay, pick it up, embrace it, see how you can use it or how the energy unfolds for you, how it comes to you or through you for the rest of the day. Or maybe something happened this morning, you're going, oh, that's what that was about. A lot of times that happens. But if it didn't resonate with you, that's okay too. Don't worry about it. Just let it alone. It wasn't for you. Maybe you're the messenger. Maybe you know somebody who is looking for the information or would enjoy the conversation, right? And just share the link with them. And I'm setting up events and that sort of thing, and reminders, promotions for the upcoming shows this coming week. I'll be doing that probably tonight and tomorrow. I know for me on Tuesday night, communications from home, my guest is Karen Crowley Suzani. She's one of our contributing writers for the Star Nations magazine. Her column is called Earth Energies, and she's coming back on the show with me to talk about her favorite sacred sites, plural, and talk about it, share with us about their earth energies and that sort of thing. So I think it's going to be a really interesting show. We also have on Monday night, we have Paul Krause coming up with his show, and his special guest, Francine Robbins, will be with him. And the Tarot Journey comes up on Monday night at 9 p.m. Eastern. Oh gosh, and I can't remember what Julie Hedges is going to be talking about, but it's at 9, and I know it's going to be pretty cool because she sent me the promotion, but I can't remember what it said. All right, and then on Tuesday is also Polly Jola Bay and Chakra Sessions at noon Eastern. My show is at 8 p.m. Eastern, Communications from Home. And then on Wednesday is also Soul Connections with Polly Jola Bay at 7 p.m. Eastern. And let me tell you, that hour and a half of healing and divine messages has become a very helpful and popular. I don't want to use the word popular. What's another word? It's like a magnet. It's very attracting a lot of people. A lot of people for the card draws, and a lot of people for the first time experiencing that kind of healing meditation. And if you haven't experienced that hour and a half with Polly Jo on Wednesday nights, you might want to consider tuning in, and being with us in the chat room. So anyway, enjoy the rest of your Thursday. Julie says, I need to add more assertive. Yeah. Mine is to be more subtle. Yeah. Because it can be expressed in a kind way too. Yeah. We should get together, Julie, because we would cover the spectrum, right? You're the kind assertive, and I'm the strong assertive, and it's like in the middle we'd be perfect. That's where we want to be. It's right in the center of that. So anyway, enjoy the rest of your Thursday, and we'll see you back here tomorrow afternoon, 3 p.m. Eastern, 2 Central, for the card draw live stream. Enjoy the rest of your day. Bama Mina, until we see each other again. Love you guys.